Hi, I'm David Madawo here with Urban Zoo with an exclusive interview with Cabral for Ego Magazine. How did you become a rapper? Like what made you decide this is what I want to do?
It was actually something that I always just knew inherently. Somebody that meant a lot to me, my auntie. She's one of the only people in my life that asked me what I wanted to be when I was older. And this is before I even started school. I didn't even know how to spell my own name, but I told her that I wanted to be a rock star. And she said that I could do that. All I got to do is have my education, stay humble, have my head on my shoulders, be smart, and don't be dumb. And
Yeah.
so it's a promise that I've owed to her and then to myself as well. So it's just always been easy to just live as the Cabral that people see as now. So I've always known that this is what I wanted to do.
You've seen quite a bit of success, with your career. You to the point where you're opening up for people like Smoke Perp and Travis Scott, and it's when you got that, whether it was a call or email, what was your first thought when you're like, man, I've gone this far?
The first time I got the first opening gig I did, I bullied my way into it. I went and I seen the event was happening, and then it was right after I did my first opening gig with two friends of mine. They were in a group called Cannibal Kings. They put me on to the Redman show. So I see this Travis Scott events happening, and I literally commented on the event page. I'm like, no one else in the city should be opening up for him except for me. I should be doing it, and
Damn.
I'll sell the most tickets. I'll do the best on stage, and yada yada yada. And that's how I bullied my first way into getting those opportunities. So it was I never got later on the calls, the surprising calls happened, but a lot of the things that I've done, I forced, and I was I'm gonna make this happen, and I made it happen. So it never really. I never really get surprised by some of those moments. It's more all right, what's next type thing.
Yeah, it's you've understand I'm worth this. This should be happening.
Yeah, exactly.
And did you get to see those guys backstage or anything like that, or is it just a quick shuffle of just open and then you're off?
Well, actually, with Travis Scott and Smoke Perp specifically, I did get to meet those guys, and with Smoke Perp. He, like he said, he fucked with my set, and then he brought me out to Calgary. So we did 2 shows back to back, and that's actually funny because it was 2 years ago today that happened.
Oh,
we were doing the show in Calgary. So yeah, 2 years ago today, I was getting ready to do the show with him. Yeah.
And speaking of other people, I know you've went on tour with Lil Mosey, right? What is tour life like?
Mine was actually a quite really interesting experience, and because for me the day before I had my flight booked and everything. We were about to go on the tour. Not even 12 hours before I get on a flight, I broke my ankle and I split it open.
It's when you were on the motorcycle, right?
No, that
was a separate thing.
Yeah, no, that wasn't even me. We just posted that as a meme.
I thought that was you for syllabus.
No. I broke my ankle in a way sadder, less cool way. I was just riding a bike and then the pedal snapped and my leg got caught in it. And then just split it open, mangled it, and then I was I'll meditate the pain away. I'll deal with it. So went to the studio, recorded a record. Pills, actually, that's going to be coming out soon.
Awesome.
But yeah, so we recorded the record, and then, the pain was unbearable, because after all the adrenaline went away, I was no longer in the studio. I'm at home trying to sleep, and I got a flight in a couple hours. I was can't do this. Called my friend, took me to the emergency, and then, I got stitches, got a quick air cast, and so the whole tour for me was just over-the-counter pain medication, and a bunch of baby duck.
Yeah.
Barely any sleep, because I like having fun and partying. That's for me.
You're I don't care that my foot's broken. I'm still going out.
I didn't care. I was in a wheelchair all the way up until getting on stage, because the pain was unbearable. Anytime I'd stand up, I'd just feel the blood rushing to the cut or whatever. But yeah, as soon as the lights turned off and the stage went on, I just stood up and I was jumping into the crowd and shit like that, broken ankle and everything. By the last show, I just did no shoes, took the cast off. I was in my stitches, jumping in the crowd and shit. So yeah, my tour experience was really interesting in that, where it's a lot of it was a fuzz because of the alcohol, painkillers and shit like that. And all I knew was I have a job to get done. I also want to have fun. Let's rage. So it was so I'm excited to do another tour and hopefully not have my leg or anything like that broken.
Can party harder.
Yeah, exactly. And remember a lot more of it.
So one thing I wanted to talk to you about was your sold-out show at the Windspear.
There was a point when I was doing the performance and I was laying on the ground and I looked at the ceiling and I had a deja vu, and I literally had dreamt about that moment before. So the eye opener there was just keep with the dream following and things like this. It was cool that so many people showed out to the show and stuff like that, but I'd feel a lot cooler if it was my solo show and I sold out. Then maybe I'd feel a little bit more eye-opening.
Damn.
To the regards to how many people showed up. I know a lot of people did come out for me and stuff like that, but I wanna own it. I wanna run it for real.
What have you noticed that has changed about Edmonton's rap scene for the better and for the worse?
Man, for the better, it's like back then it was really too much of a crabs in a bucket mentality, and everybody was like, you know, pulling other people down, and so you'd have somebody who was putting out a record, and now he's not sharing any of his friends or people he knows record because his record is out, and it was just this weird thing. And like what I've watched and how it's changed is like it's literally like became cool to like drop on the same day as your friend, and then both you guys are sharing the fact that you guys dropped, and like it's just like the embrace of like accepting the healthy levels of competition instead of being so worried that somebody might make it at the top before you. That has changed a lot in the city for the better. That has definitely changed a lot for the better. And what's changed for the worse, I'd say, is not so much that has to do with like the culture of the city. Is like all of that we've now been working up to has gotten taken away from us because of the whole pandemic and things like that is happening. Right, we're not getting into those same social groups and throwing the same kind of parties that are introducing people like you and I.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that's like the downfall, but it has nothing too much on the city. Like I feel like if that never happened, the city would have kept growing and flourishing.
Who are some of your musical influences?
Like person who got me into like the rapping was Tupac, and like I know I grew up like listening to Kanye West and stuff like that, but I get a lot more musical influence from film and a lot more musical influence from visuals and like cartoons or like stuff that I liked when I was younger. There's when it comes to like my direct musical influence or the stuff that I'm listening to, it's always changing depending on the mood and how I'm feeling. Like I really like Sev Deliza. Like she's one of my favorites. I like what she does creatively, and not necessarily like I want to do what she's doing with her sound, but I like how experimental she is with her sound and how she's just like, we're gonna make something good. And it's like same with like Death Grips and things like that. Just being experimental and not afraid of people being like, this isn't normal. It's like that's the point. This is supposed to make you feel something instead of just elevator music that makes you feel the same as everything else. And again, depending on the mood and depending on the project I'm working on. So for instance, like for Wicked City, right, the name itself was inspired by the anime Wicked City and a lot of the other animations that company does. It's Madhouse Animations, and they also did Perfect Blue and Ninja Scroll and stuff like that. So that's what like allowed me to just be like, okay, boom, dive in, just creating sound to what I seen visually, especially with my imagination that's making the visuals so much bigger, you know? So like, it varies sometimes from like animes, sometimes it could be like a movie like Braveheart, it just depends. Especially because like I try my best to connect with my childhood self and what I liked as a kid, whether it be Akira or Ninja Scroll or Ghost in the Shell and stuff like that.
Nice.
So it just depends.
So 3 shows, your first show, your worst show, and your best show. I love everyone's face when they have to, they're like, damn.
First show was the Creative Club host show. It was a great experience. It was awesome. And like looking back to seeing how young I was as an artist and like the mind state that I had, how I wanted to put on a bunch of people on my first show and stuff like that. It's really cool. Really awesome first experience for a first show. Worst show would have to be this one time. Long story short, met this dude at a club, blah, blah, blah. He said he was a big fan of my music, got me and my photographer involved with throwing an event at this place called Sultan's, which was a shisha bar.
Okay.
Yeah, again, long story short, the DJ didn't know how to DJ, the promoter didn't know how to promote.
Great.
Only thing that the show had going for it was me and my photographer trying to put and hold everything together. So we did it. Sound was ass, and then on top of all of that, our money got stolen. So that was the worst show. And
that sounds horrible.
Yeah, and then the best show would have to be a tie between some of the opening gigs I did and my sold-out show that I did. That was my show back in January. So yeah, those are my 3. Yeah.
And what would you tell like Cabral like before that first show, like young Cabral, like before that first show, like as you are right now, like what's the advice that you'd give him, or what's the slap upside the head that you'd give him? One or the other.
Same advice that I'm getting from the guy in my future. Like same advice I'm getting from my future self right now.
Yeah.
Just keep with it. Just stay with it. You know what I mean? Like I've been listening to my intuition, my gut, my soul for so long now that like now I don't need to even hear anything else.
Yeah, you're like just keep course. Like everything has been winning so far.
Yeah, if anything, I'd go back in time and just give myself a thumbs up and say nothing. Be like, it's like, did I just see myself? Did he give me a thumbs up? What does it mean?
And even yourself would know like that's the most Cabral thing to do. Just post up and be like, you're good.
Yeah.
Just leave.
Just performing and I see myself in shades. It's like
yeah. Well, anyways, that was our exclusive interview with Cabral for Urban Zoo and Ego Magazine. It was really awesome talking to you, man.
Thanks for having me,
it
man.
was so much fun.
You can follow me on all social media platforms. That's All Things TK, and check me out on Spotify. That is Cabral, iTunes Cabral, and yeah.
What he said. I should have said that.